Shady fucking Sheehy, baby. Shady fucking Sheehy.
Shady Sheehy.
Battles to Advanced Warfare 2 hit.
So, this is Mr. Dalek JD, 10 Call of Duty franchise games that were cancelled.
For 10 cancelled Call of Duty games.
Let's get right into it.
The first being Advanced Warfare 2.
I would not like this one. To be honest with you, I would not like it. I've never liked the first Advanced Warfare. I thought the exosuits were the most annoying in this game, and I also didn't like the weapons. The zombies wasn't good, and the Spec Ops wasn't good. I think there was no redeeming qualities about this, minus the campaign, and I still didn't think it was that good.
Now, until 2023, the rumors of a sequel to Advanced Warfare had circulated online for nearly 10 years. But in that year, an interview with the previous creative director at Sledgehammer Games cleared the air by confirming that an Advanced Warfare 2 was in the works at one point. And it even had several prototypes and a playable demo created for this sequel to Advanced Warfare. But ultimately, it came down to an executive decision that the studio moved to work onto Call of Duty World War II instead.
To be honest, I love World War II. I think this is a W. World War II is one of my favorite Call of Duties. The multiplayer, people always make fun of me for this, but the multiplayer, the sniping in this multiplayer was so much fun. The sniping was fun. The melee weapons were actually fun. The war mode was better than ever. I hate the war mode that we have now. Like, I want the war mode from World War II. I want this war mode. I don't want the MW3 war mode. I want this war mode. The campaign was great. The only downside was the zombies. That was it. Even the supply drops, I didn't even find them that bad because you could just buy them. Like, not with money, but like the credits that you earned, you could just get this stuff. You could just get the guns.
The creative director said in an interview that many developers were also interested in returning to that World War II setting, and they ultimately chose to abandon the sequel to Advanced Warfare. Now, a big management philosophy that the studio behind these games had at the time was that it was crucial that a team shows passion for the work of 3 years or more building the next Call of Duty. And after a fair bit of voting and arm twisting, the team decided to go with World War II over Advanced Warfare, basing their decision over if they wanted to do a sequel or did they want to return to the roots of the franchise, and they chose the latter. But the former creative director said this if they were to return to Advanced Warfare 2.
They probably wouldn't have cast Spacey.
Ouch. One of the most interesting cancelled Call of Duty games of all time is one set in ancient Rome.
Yeah,
this story takes
to be honest with you, I don't think this would have been good. I think Call of Duty needs guns, and I don't think Roman Wars would be good.
All the way back to 2008, who Vicarious Visions, a studio Activision bought in 2005, is currently working on a franchise called Skylanders, but was secretly also working on a Call of Duty game that would have blown our minds. And this game was called Call of Duty Roman Wars, which was going to follow Julius Caesar's 10th Legion. And in this game, you would have ridden horses, elephants, and even used catapults. The studio created a prototype level based on the Battle of Elysium, and it wasn't until 2016 where Games Radar unearthed unseen footage in which the player is in the third-person perspective, and you would have been able to switch between first and third. The first-person view similar to 2005's Condemned Criminal Origins, and the third person was very Gears of War style. An anonymous source told Games Radar that you would play as several different characters from a lowly grunt to Julius Caesar himself.
I think this game would have worked if it wasn't a Call of Duty. I think just because they slapped Call of Duty on the name, it failed. But if it just came out as Roman Wars, I feel like it would be
and
big.
It would have
been a cool game. It would have been a huge game.
Was keeping close to Caesar's real-life conquests. This demo footage not only impressed Activision, but it was even seen by its CEO Bobby Kotick at the time. But a mixture of studio stubbornness and fears of oversaturating the brand stopped Call of Duty Roman Wars in its tracks.
Good. Like I said, I think Call of Duty needs guns. I think that's the minimum thing. Call of Duty needs guns. And this, no guns, just bows and arrows and swords. I think it would have been better as just Roman Wars. I don't think it needed to be Call of Duty slapped on it.
Funnily enough, the game was also pitched to Ubisoft, and you can see company flags within the gameplay footage. And even though this game didn't see the light of day, in 2013, a Roman action game called Rise released as a launch title for the Xbox One, showing that there was interest within the gaming industry for an ancient Rome type game. But one of the most shocking
that would have been, it would have been sick. Like, it would have been cool. I just don't think it should have been in Call of Duty game.
Call of Duty games was only discovered this year. The discovery and leaked
this one,
gameplay
I'm
of
pissed.
Call of Duty Future Warfare.
This would have been cool. This, I wish we would have got dead of Advanced Warfare.
Codenamed NX1, which was in
This is
development
really
in
fucking
2011,
cool.
which was developed solely by the studio Neversoft, who at the time were the developers on the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series and Guitar Hero. And
This
after the
would have been
implosion of
a
Infinity Ward with several
huge
founders
game.
and devs splitting to form Respawn Entertainment, Neversoft pivoted from Guitar Hero to make a futuristic Call of Duty game. But thanks to
Which
one of the
is
project
weird,
leads, Brian
but-
Bright, who's also the director for IW
Wow.
Zombies, Extinction, Guitar Hero, and Tony Hawk, we know so much more about this game. Context on the campaign mission: this mission was taking place on the moon, and it allowed them to have some experiments with low gravity, but it was really about the team learning how to build Call of Duty on this engine, as prior to this they were making Guitar Hero games on their Tony Hawk engine. Looking at the time period, this build of the game was a month after the launch of Modern Warfare 3 and a full year before the release of Black Ops 2. With that in mind, this game would have been in place of Call of Duty Ghosts. Brian Bright
I think that should have happened. I don't think Ghost should have happened.
to say that there were 2 to 3 campaign missions completely finished and a bunch of multiplayer work done. Now, to anyone that has played Call of Duty Ghosts, you will see some familiarities from this campaign mission to what we see in the Call of Duty Ghosts campaign. Firstly, the whole premise of the mission that we're seeing here from Future Warfare is very similar to one of the sections of the first mission from Call of Duty Ghosts, where you're moving through a satellite in space whilst it's being hijacked, and that is a very similar thing that we're seeing happen in this campaign demo. Furthermore, the name of the player's character is Walker, which is the same name as the Ghost protagonist. So it's extremely likely that what we're seeing here was repurposed for Call of Duty Ghosts, as well as Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, where the game would have been a balance between being boots on the ground as well as futuristic movement. And considering this was all in 2011, before there was even an era of futuristic movement, Call of Duty games like Advanced Warfare
This would have been sick. I'm not even gonna lie, this looks cooler than Ghost and Advanced Warfare. And if you don't agree, I genuinely think you're lying. Like, this is so cool. This is so cool.
Infinite Warfare. It is amazing to see that this could have been the Call of Duty game we got in 2013 instead of Ghosts. The single player is only half of the story because we have multiplayer gameplay as well. According to Brian Bright, this multiplayer map was called Sandstorm. Straight away from the gameplay, you can see that this is some sort of hybrid between MW2 and MW3.
Yeah, this would have been perfect. This would have been amazing.
Kimbo G11s at the start as well as the HUD, but what's interesting is the main primary weapon is called a pulse rifle, which is a futuristic energy weapon that we've never seen before. You see it shot a few times, as well as another weapon on the ground called an ECR, but it just looks so alien to see these futuristic weapons in
I think
what
this would
looks
have been
like
cool.
a modern warfare map.
So this
from
is
that
like
era.
the
And we know
FAL.
more about this multiplayer from Brian Bright, as he was the multiplayer lead on this game, and one thing that he really liked in multiplayer was the first escort game mode in multiplayer. We didn't see an escort game mode until Black Ops 3 in 2015. Several years prior, Neversoft were working on a full escort mode, which the team sound like they were very proud of. Another multiplayer map existed called Galleria, which apparently had the best escort gameplay, with a UGV dropping in and the elevator in the map to raise it up a level. As for the design of this specific map, at the time the team didn't have much of an art team on multiplayer, so the level designers used mainly MW2 assets. But I want to know if
Which you
you
can
would have
tell.
wanted
You
this
can
game to
tell.
release instead of Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah,
And if this
I
game
think
wasn't
I would.
exciting enough, we
This
still
is
have 7 more
insane.
to talk about. So if by the end of this video you've learned something new, let me know if you enjoyed it by clicking that thumbs up for more videos like this. But our next
You
cancelled
cheeky
Call of Duty
bastard.
game takes us to 2011 for a
Okay.
game called Call of Duty Vietnam.
Yes.
Internally, it was called Fog of War, and this was a game under development by Sledgehammer Games, the creators of Advanced Warfare
I do
and
remember
World War II.
this.
All that exists
This does seem pretty damn cool, except for the third person. I think Call of Duty should be first person and choose to go into third person like they did with the two newer ones. But I still think it would have
is
been cool.
concept artwork for the game, but it was planned to be an action-adventure game that would have been set entirely in third person, with a developer
I don't
on
know
the
about
project
that.
describing it as an Uncharted meets Call of Duty. The game spent 8 months in development, and it even had a 15-minute playable demo. And at the time, they were really getting into the story, with a big moment that they'd love to get into a game someday, but it's not something that they could do in first person. And despite the name Vietnam, it was also set in Cambodia, Mongolia and Laos as well, where they did a lot of research on the war, where they were definitely going for some Dead Space moments. It was going to be a fresh take on war, that's for sure. But ultimately, it got put on hold as Activision offered Sledgehammer the opportunity.
Fucking Valorant.
To help development of the soon-to-release 2011 Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Once Sledgehammer began development on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, it was confirmed in 2014 that Call of Duty Vietnam had seized all development. The studio head at the time said that if they were ever asked to make a third-person game again, they would continue development on Call of Duty Vietnam. One of the most shocking recent cancelled Call of Duty games was a standalone Call of Duty.
This one's sad. This one does make me sad. This one was the one I would be most excited
Zombies
for.
Live service game. Raven Software, the studio behind Call of Duty Warzone and supporting development on many other games, were at one time working on a standalone live version of Call of Duty Zombies, but it was cancelled after Treyarch wanted it back. The only known details come from the ex-lead designer, who explained he was lead designer on an ambitious new Call of Duty Zombies live service project between 2011 and 2012. Now, the idea of a standalone Zombies game was always the dream Zombies game for fans, but if this did release, then we would have gotten this standalone game instead of Black Ops 2 Zombies.
But it just would have been in Black Ops 2, wouldn't it?
Which is a really scary prospect when you think about it. Since the cancellation of this project, Raven Software have gone on to create Exo Zombies inside of Advanced Warfare, and if that is the sort of zombies that we were going to be getting in this standalone, then maybe it was a good thing that this project got cancelled. I personally think the idea of this game is truly incredible, but when you think about the fact that it wasn't Treyarch that was creating it, then I can't put full faith in this realization being the game that we've always wanted. It would have likely continuously had new round-based maps and weapons added and new modes, but live service games were not a thing.
I still want this, but I do want Treyarch to make it. I still think Treyarch should make it. I think Treyarch knows how to make zombies better than anyone.
Back in 2012, so this would have been incredibly ambitious if they pulled it off. The closest thing we currently have to a live service zombies game is...
Don't even show me this shit. Don't even... I'm skipping right over it.
Another cancelled Call of Duty game was one called Call of Duty Tactics. This was being developed by Vicarious Visions, who were also responsible for the cancelled Roman Wars game, but rather than your traditional Call of Duty game, this would have been a strategy game. The only gameplay to exist is a 40-second clip of a prototype that was put on by an animator's online portfolio. But straight away from the gameplay style of the game, it would have been so different to anything we've seen before in Call of Duty. I'm not sure what the reception of this Call of Duty game would have been. The game apparently didn't make it far into development, but the exact reason for its cancellation remains a mystery. The closest thing we've had to a strategy game in Call of Duty is a mode in the Black Ops 2 campaign called Strike Force, where instead of playing and controlling a main character, you play as a squad composed of soldiers, drones, and mechs, and the idea was you're jumping through different elements of the squad, taking control of them in order to complete the objectives laid out in a big sandbox level. It wasn't very popular, and we've never seen it return in a campaign.
I don't think I've ever played it.
A one-cut Call of Duty game that would have ignited the entire gaming community was Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered. During the
Fuck you, Call of Duty.
first half of 2020, Activision randomly dropped Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, and the mere prospect of an MW2 remaster was something that every gamer had dreamt about. But when it turned out to be just a campaign remaster, a lot of people asked, where is the multiplayer mode? According to renowned leaker Tom Henderson, he confirmed that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer was in development, and the reason why it was cut from actually happening is because they didn't want the release for the multiplayer to overshadow the current game at the time, which was Modern Warfare 2019. Which makes a lot of sense. They didn't want the player base to be split between playing the remastered multiplayer of MW2 over the still current rebranded Modern Warfare.
Then don't release a game for that year. Modern Warfare 2019 shouldn't have came out then. Should have just did Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Called it good. You already saw with Infinite Warfare that most people bought the deluxe edition just for Modern Warfare Remastered. Should have just did Modern Warfare 2 Remastered and then added a fuck ton of shit with the Battle Pass and Warzone and everything on top of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered.
Tom Henderson originated at the beginning of 2022, where he claimed that a lot of the assets that were created for the remastered multiplayer would be coming over to Modern Warfare 2 2022. Whilst that might have been the plan, it's now obvious that instead all of those assets were moved to Modern Warfare 3 2023.
Boo.
As all the launch maps in that game are remastered MW2 maps.
Boo.
Because of that, I don't think we will ever see a original MW2 multiplayer remaster. But that's not the only Modern Warfare game that won't see the light of day, as Modern Warfare 3 Remastered has been an online rumor for many years, and it—
What? I always liked 2 and 1 better than 3, but this still would have been pretty damn
only
cool.
makes
I'm not
sense
even
that
gonna
if
lie.
the first and second Modern Warfare's got a remaster, then surely the third one would
The third
too.
one should
Near
have
the
a
end of
remaster.
2021, Activision came out with a bold and random statement claiming to Charlie Intel that rumors of a Modern Warfare 3 remaster are false, and that a remaster of Modern Warfare 3 campaign or multiplayer does not exist. And in 2022, renowned COD leaker The Ghost of Hope tweeted that according to a source, the campaign remaster isn't cancelled like previously reported. It is complete and is just sitting there waiting for the right time to be released.
That's insane. I hate how Call of Duty just sits on stuff like this. Like, they just sit on stuff like this. This is insane.
On top of that, there's been other rumors for multiple years that PlayStation had a contract with Activision to create a whole trilogy of Modern Warfare remasters that would first launch on PlayStation consoles. This rumored contract involved Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3. Now, to this day, that
It shouldn't be just on PlayStation. I mainly play PlayStation, but it should not be just on PlayStation. I feel like they should all come out at the same time as a trilogy. This would have been...
PlayStation contract.
It should have been just one game. It should have just been Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, and it should just be called Modern Warfare Trilogy Remastered. And you play through all 3 campaigns, and then the multiplayer is a mashup of everything.
Is hearsay as there's no proof of its existence, but in the past, Activision has previously denied rumors of previous remasters like MW2 Remastered from existing, only to drop them at a later date. So whilst its existence in 2021 might have been
Yeah, that's another thing. They could just lie. Like, people always forget that. They could just lie and be like, no, we don't have it.
true, things might have changed since then, but it's unclear whether a Modern Warfare 3 remaster exists until it's officially confirmed by Activision. Now, we all know that the original Modern Warfare took Call of Duty by storm, but 5 months before the release of that game, a small team of developers were beginning work on a top-secret third-person
Skin Club. This is where you buy skins.
Call of Duty spin-off known as Call of Duty Devil's Brigade. This was going to be set in Italy during World War II, and it would feature squad-based mechanics, exploration, and a grim story about a team of skillfully trained killing machines. From early in development, it had everything going for it. It had Activision's financial support, it had top talent, and most importantly, Infinity Ward were happy for this game to be created. But 9 months into development, in March 2008, the game was cancelled. The low-quality gameplay you're seeing is the only existing footage of this game, where the D-pad was used to direct orders to the squad, that being assault, barrage, hold the line, and form up. A few development screenshots have also been discovered for the game where some weapons from both Call of Duty 2 and Call of Duty 4 were present, being the AK-47 and the Thompson, along with the MP40, which was created brand new for the game. It was being developed by Studio Underground Development, who at the time had only developed Guitar Hero Van Halen and the then cancelled Call of Duty Devil's Brigade. Now, we have to talk about one of the most controversial Call of Duty cancelled games ever. And the reason why it was controversial is that there was actually a lawsuit. The game was intended to be a direct sequel to Call of Duty Finest Hour, which was the very first console installment of Call of Duty back in 2004. By mid-2006, the game had earned $45 million, so clearly it was a success and Activision wanted to hammer down on the sequel. Call of Duty Finest Hour was all part of a contract between Activision and Spark Unlimited, where they had to create 3 AAA quality products for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. With Finest Hour out of the way, the second and third would either be sequels to Finest Hour or games based on a new IP. Total cost of the first game was pegged at $8.5 million, but things quickly got complicated as many of the experienced staff that the CEO wanted to bring on for the studio hadn't actually left their jobs at EA. And when EA learned that approximately 20 of its staff suddenly quit, their legal team went into action, filing a suit against Spark Unlimited. At one point, the chief technical officer left the company and a lawsuit soon followed, adding another $70,000 in legal fees to Activision's tab. After a ton of development struggles, they finally released Call of Duty Finest Hour near the end of 2004. The proposed sequel, Call of Duty Combined Forces, was not compelling to Activision, describing the game as more of an expansion pack rather than a wholly new experience. Spark Unlimited claimed that they could have the game ready
so they were conscious about that before. All right.
In 12 months and required over $10.5 million in funding. Activision was unimpressed and felt that Spark had not fully resolved its organization issues. The company then demanded a $500,000 cancellation fee from Activision, which they refused. And in July 2005, the studio took legal action against Activision, accusing them of breaching their publishing contract. Skip forward nearly 17 years later, the internet still isn't sure if this lawsuit between Spark and Activision remains unsolved. But I don't think any dev studio will have a mess as bad as this with Activision ever again. Now, it isn't just video games that Activision have cancelled for Call of Duty, as they were about to take the trading card game by storm with a Call of Duty real-time card game. This was set to be produced by Upper Deck Entertainment, a trading card company set to release in the fall of 2008, but it was cancelled before it even entered production. It was set to be a 2-player game set on a 5x5 grid with an attempt to win through either earning a preset number of points won by kills or by other mission-based objectives like capture the flag. And these images are all that remain, so clearly they were trying really hard to try and capture what Call of Duty multiplayer would feel like, but in a real-time card game. Who knows, this could have been one of the biggest card games ever, but we'll never know.
Airsoft.
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris opened up borders and spent